You're in a US port. The overhead speakers go ding! Then a crew member blocks the gangway. Nobody can get off and end their trip here. Not weather. If you cruise often enough to feel confident, but not often enough to track every rule tweak, this is where trips get quietly wrecked. 14 rules are being enforced harder in 2026. These are the ones that turn into missed time, surprise charges, or that embarrassing moment when you're politely pulled aside while everyone else keeps moving. We start at number 14 and count down. When we hit number 2, I'll explain why that US port shutdown happens, and the 5-second question that tells you if your itinerary can trigger it before you book. Start at the terminal, because check-in is turning into an appointment, and missing your window can put you into the slow lane at the help desk. Remember when you could grab a coffee, stroll into the terminal whenever, and everything still worked out? Yeah, that era is fading. These days, your check-in confirmation often comes with a time slot. Sometimes it's buried in the app as an arrival appointment, so it's easy to miss. Get there early and you'll usually be waved into a waiting area until your time. Get there late and the vibe flips, your group keeps moving, you get pointed toward a desk, and suddenly you're doing the slow version of check-in while everyone else glides past. The frustrating part is it's rarely dramatic, just bad traffic or a slow Uber. You walk in a few minutes late thinking you'll blend in, and suddenly you're the one having the side conversation. Treat that time slot like a boarding pass. Screenshot it, save it, and put it on your calendar with a leave now alert. Nail the timing and you can still get clipped at checkout. Tiny fees that look harmless until they stack. You know that checkout shock? The moment you hit pay and the price suddenly feels different? That $799 cruise turns into $1,060 at checkout. Same cabin, same dates. The difference is just a pile of taxes, port fees, service charges baked in at the last second. Drop a comment with the wildest fee name you've ever seen on a bill. I've seen some that look like typos. A lot of this is pass-through stuff from local governments, tourism, taxes, port maintenance, environmental charges, often showing up with generic names like local jurisdiction fee. Try getting a clear explanation on board, and you'll usually get a polite smile and a vague summary. The hard truth isn't that they exist, it's that they are mandatory. Even if you stay on the ship, nap in your cabin, and never set foot in that port, your wallet still pays for the visit. Before you book, slow down and look for the line that says taxes, fees, and port expenses. That's your real price. After the sting of those port fees, onboard credit feels like the cruise line's way of saying sorry. You feel rich for about 8 seconds until you try to use it. That's when you realize it's basically a coupon written by someone who has personal beef with relaxation. The restrictions are where the betrayal happens. Most credits can't touch gratuities, service charges, or casino chips. Some even expire halfway through the sailing. One guest told me they tried to spend theirs only to be told it was valid at the steakhouse between 3 and 5 p.m. on a specific Tuesday. Treat it like a restricted coupon, not a debit card. Check the exclusions list immediately before you confidently order the lobster. But at least that credit is technically free. This next fee feels like an insult. Miss a dinner reservation and you can still get billed. Ever missed a fancy dinner because bingo ran long, only to find you were charged for the meal you didn't touch? That's the specialty dining no-show fee. It's not a warning, it's a penalty charged per person. You might not even notice it until you scroll through your folio later and see a charge for vacation brain. 2 habits save you here. Open the app to find the exact cancellation cutoff time, and set a phone reminder for 30 minutes before that window closes. And if you do miss it, don't waste your breath arguing. I watched a group on Carnival try to fight this recently, and the staff didn't budge. Fees are annoying, but security pulling something out of your suitcase, that is a different kind of anger. That note isn't a warning. It's the receipt for the thing security took. Ships have been cracking down hard on 3 categories: anything that heats, anything that extends power, and anything that broadcasts a signal. That covers the usual suspects: surge-protected power strips, extension cords, handheld steamers, and on some lines, certain personal communication or signal-boosting gadgets. The rules aren't there to ruin your vibe. They're there because those items get treated as higher risk. So they're the first things to get flagged. Disney cruisers have been learning this the awkward way with hair dryers. People pack their good one, then the bag shows up with a receipt and a note saying it was confiscated. The twist is, it's not a hair dryer that's the problem, it's the wattage. Disney's guideline is 1500 W max on 110 volts outlets and 2000 W max on 220 volts. And there's already a dryer in the stateroom. Wattage is usually printed right on the dryer. Check it before you toss it in. Bring an overpowered one, and your hairdryer does time until the end of the cruise. If it heats, extends, or broadcasts, check the prohibited items list before you pack. Otherwise, you're splitting one wall outlet between 3 phones and a GoPro on life support. One crackdown has nothing to do with money, yet it starts more arguments than the bar. Chair saving on the pool deck. It's 9 a.m. 2 towels, 1 paperback, 1 pair of flip-flops, and the loungers are taken by ghosts. Then a crew member walks by and clips a little tag onto the chair with a time written on it. Translation: the ship just started a countdown. On P&O cruises, one example people have noticed, crew have been tagging unattended loungers, circling back roughly 30 to 40 minutes later, and if nobody's returned, the stuff gets cleared so someone else can actually sit down. It's aimed at the classic move where a chair gets reserved for hours while the owner is off doing brunch, bingo, a nap, a full documentary series, whatever. The upside is fewer pool deck blowups. Nobody has to play towel police. The ship makes it official. The downside is learning it the hard way. You take a quick dip, come back, and your saved chair is now someone else's because the tag did its job. Don't turn it into a confrontation. If you step away, keep it short, take valuables with you, and don't hold chairs you're not using. If your things get removed, ask crew where they put them before you side-eye the person sitting there. 2 towels and a book from 9 to noon. What do? Sit down anyway, ask staff, or move on? The strictest sound rule shows up at the beach stop everyone treats like a free-for-all, especially when someone brings a speaker. Imagine, you step onto CocoCay, cranking your favorite playlist. A crew member steps in immediately. Sorry, headphones only. That's the rule. Royal Caribbean treats the island as an extension of the ship, so if you didn't pack headphones, your vacation soundtrack is officially on mute. Carnival goes even harder. While Royal might just warn you to turn it down, Carnival lists speakers and radios as prohibited items, meaning they get confiscated at the terminal and held until the end of the cruise. Keep the audio personal to avoid finding a written warning on your cabin door. Once you see how strict they are about noise, the next rule makes sense. It's about age, and missing a specific link in your booking can leave you stranded at the pier. Most people shop cruises by ports and birthdays. They don't shop them by who the ship will actually let live in a cabin. That's why the under 2-1 trap hits so hard. You book it like a hotel, you pack it like a vacation, and then you find out the age rules can be stricter on certain sailings. For example, Royal Caribbean's published age policy says the minimum age to sail unaccompanied on sailings originating in North America is 21. MSC has a second age gate that surprises families. On cruises 11 nights or longer, departing on after the 15th of May 2025, kids must be at least 2 years old, 24 months, on embarkation day. Under 2? Not allowed on those long sailings, because more sea days and more distance from land means fewer realistic options if an infant needs urgent care or evacuation. Age gates are annoying because they feel personal. The one after this is worse for a different reason. You don't have to try to break it. One tiny leftover in a bag can turn your cruise into a legal mess fast. The fastest way to ruin a cruise isn't a fight or a fee. It's a single round you didn't know was in the bag. because this stops being a ship rule the moment you step into port. Cruise lines already ban weapons and ammunition. That part isn't the surprise. The surprise is how often people get nailed for the dumb leftovers. One loose round from an old range bag, a forgotten spare in a side pocket, something that's been riding in the same backpack for months. What people miss is simple. The ship isn't the real risk. Local law is. When you dock, you're under that country's rules, and the consequences can jump straight to police, charges, detention, court, fines, even jail time. There have been recent cases where passengers ended up arrested in port over an item they didn't even realize was still in their luggage. So don't recycle your usual travel bag for a cruise if it's ever been near gear. Use a clean, dedicated bag, empty every pocket, and check the weird spots, liners, mesh sleeves, the bottom seam, before you leave home. The consequences get ugly fast for something as small as one round. Mood swing after that, you head toward the pool or hot tub with a drink, and crew stops you. On some ships, it's stricter than no glass. Plastic cups don't save you on a pool deck. The real rule is where the water line starts. Glass is the easy one. Everyone expects that. What catches people is the last few feet. Hot tubs, pool edges, the wet deck. On some ships, that zone gets treated like a hard boundary. Step into it with a drink and crew shuts it down, even when it's plastic or aluminum. I've watched a crew member stop a guy with a plastic cup right at the pool edge. No glass, no drama, just a calm point to the sign and a "not in this area." If you want to avoid the awkward tap on the shoulder moment, keep sip time and water time separate. Park the drink on the dry side, get in, relax, then grab it when you're done. It sounds petty until you see how strict that invisible border can be. Public space rules are tightening in general, sometimes over things you wear, not things you carry. When a phone is filming, everyone can tell. Glasses don't give you that courtesy. That's why some cruise lines are starting to treat smart glasses less like tech and more like a privacy headache. What trips people up is the difference between bringing it and using it. Most of the time, the issue isn't the suitcase, it's your face. On MSC, the rule is blunt. Smart glasses fall into the discreet recording category, so public areas are off limits. Anywhere strangers are packed together, dining, shows, pool deck, corridors, counts, you can travel with them, using them out there is the problem. That gets tricky because not everyone uses smart glasses to make content. Some are prescription, some tie into accessibility needs, some people use them for translation or support tools. If you rely on them for prescription or accessibility, don't gamble at the terminal, bring a normal backup pair, and get guidance from the line in writing before you sail. On Carnival, the hard no is at the gangway, boarding and getting off, where anything that looks hands-free gets shut down. On a ship, privacy isn't a debate. It's whatever the ship writes down. Enforcement isn't only about privacy. Money behavior gets watched too, especially in the casino. Cruise casinos don't just care what you play. They track how money flows. That matters even more on casino dumps. It's not free, it's a bet you'll gamble. It usually goes like this. You load money into a slot, spin a little, cash out the ticket, then walk that money over to a table game. People do it to dodge an ATM run or to avoid a convenience fee on table transactions on some lines. To them, it reads like a cash workaround. Tiny play, fast cash out, ticket straight to a table. Innocent or not, that shape gets flagged. Some lines even spell out that downloaded funds are for gaming activity, and table transactions can carry a fee. Another thing that gets shut down fast isn't even inside the casino. Passengers gambling with each other for real money. Not the casino tables, your friends at a bar, a quick card game, even a small cash pot on the Lido. If crew sees money changing hands, they can end it immediately, and it can escalate. If you want zero drama, keep it non-cash. Fake money, candy, pretzels, or bragging rights. If you need cash, skip the workaround. Use the casino cage or the onboard ATM and ask the casino desk how they want table play funded on that ship. Okay, the sharpest you can't moment after all, this doesn't happen at a table. It happens at the dock. A US port can still be a hard stop. The ship can be docked and arrived, and customs still won't clear anyone off. That's law, not customer service. The number running the whole situation is roughly $1,000 per person, and it can shift with inflation and line policy. That's why nobody makes an exception when a US port shows up at the wrong time. And to be clear, this isn't about stepping off for a beach day. It's about getting off and ending your trip at the wrong US port. This is PVSA. Most cruise ships are foreign flagged, and US law blocks passengers from being dropped at a different US point unless the sailing includes the right kind of foreign stop. Crew won't work with you because they're protecting the ship from a penalty that's charged per passenger. One detail people miss: foreign isn't always enough. CBP treats nearby versus distant foreign ports differently, so routes don't all count the same. Weird example: a lot of Caribbean ports are nearby, but Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao get treated differently in the definition, so not every foreign stop does the same job. This flips on you when the itinerary breaks. Weather, a medical divert, mechanical issues, anything that removes or swaps the foreign stop that was doing the legal heavy lifting. Most itineraries only have one. What it feels like: the ship is docked in the US, and you still can't get off and stay off. Real-life fallout is ugly. Missed flights, missed family plans, while you wait for the next foreign port that resets the rule. Some lines even warn that if you have to leave at a US port during an emergency, the PVSA fine can get passed through to you. Amounts can vary. The habit that saves you here: treat the foreign stop as the weak link. If anything shifts on board, ask what the next foreign port is that resets the rule. Then plan around that, not the brochure. Comment your route like start port's end, and I'll point out the stop doing the legal heavy lifting. The last one is quieter, but it drains you daily, and most people only notice when the final bill forces the math. Drink packages are where all-inclusive breaks first, because the package rules move faster than your expectations. You feel it at checkout before you even pour a drink. Royal Caribbean trips up couples right on the payment screen. If one adult in a stateroom buys the deluxe beverage package, every adult of legal drinking age in that same stateroom is expected to be on a package too. Exceptions exist, but they're not something to budget around, so the one package for two people plan usually dies at the final click. Carnival is even more direct with Cheers. Once one adult in a stateroom buys it, every eligible adult assigned to that stateroom has to buy it. That's why mixed drinkers and non-drinkers get the rude surprise at the payment total. Step ashore and packages stop behaving consistently. Royal Caribbean treats Perfect Day at Coco Cay and Labadee like an extension of the ship, so your package can still work. Carnival's Cheers doesn't apply to beverage purchases at Celebration Key, Half Moon Cay, and Princess Cays, so you're back to paying menu price on the beach. One date can change the deal after you've already booked. For port calls arriving on or after the 1st of March 2026, Norwegian's shipboard beverage packages won't cover drinks at Great Stirrup Cay. Basic complimentary options like water still remain. Pay for the package once, verify it 3 times. That's why I call drink packages the double charge zone of 2026. The promise sounds simple, but the rules change depending on who's in your cabin, where you're standing, and what date your ship shows up. If this saved you even one awkward surprise at the terminal or on the final bill, send it to the person you cruise with, because you'll be the one standing next to them when it happens. Which rule shocked you the most? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more updates like this, the stuff that actually changes how you plan, hit subscribe. Safe sailing, and may your all-inclusive stay inclusive.